Welcome to the Leading at the Next Level podcast with Dove Development and Consulting, the show built to provide ongoing support to your leadership journey. So on the heels of what we've been doing recently, I get to have a conversation today with a friend of close to 40 years, Josh Hale. Josh is the market president for the Harrisonburg area for Pioneer Bank, and they are the keynote partner for the Leadership Legacy experience that Cindy and I are hosting in June of 2025. So depending on when you're accessing this, you may be after the event and you're like, hey, this was really, really cool. And I'll spring something on you at the end of this. But before I do, I want to talk a little bit about Josh. So Josh and I have known one another since I think 7th or 8th grade. And we ran in some of the same circles. I was a little bit more hillbilly. Josh was way more educated, way more proper. So he probably kept me at arm's length every now and then because of, hey, what crazy nonsense is Wes going to do next? And that's probably still a little bit true. But it's always been a neat opportunity to get to catch up on occasion, more so recently through some work that we're doing together, Dove Development Consulting and his team at Pioneer Bank. So Josh, do you want to talk a little bit about who you are, maybe a brief overview of your background and a little bit about your industry experience before we really dive into the purpose and some of the other things we'll talk about?
That sounds great, Wes. I appreciate it. As Wes said, we have known each other a long time. It was a great intro. I appreciate that, Wes. I have been in the banking industry my entire career from college, and it's going into my 25th year of banking here locally. I've been through all the aspects of banking, starting in the retail space. Also was part of some investment banking and did a lot of work and spent a lot of time in the commercial side of the bank over many years. And I have also been a part of executive leadership in my career as well. So it's all been local here in Harrisonburg, Rockham, the Shenandoah Valley. I've enjoyed working with a lot of people, a lot of businesses, and it's been fantastic. So thanks, Wes.
Yeah. So before we really dive into the purpose, and I'll poke at you a little bit about that, you went to the University of Arizona, right, for college?
Hey, let's get corrected. Arizona State.
Okay. That was an honest mistake. When I there was a fellow I worked with years ago that he was an Ole Miss grad, and I would always introduce him intentionally, and our HR manager always put me up to it. I would introduce him as a Mississippi State grad, and he would get upset when I would do that. I almost swore right there because he would usually swear at me when I did that. So I apologize for that. So you went to Arizona State. You got a great education, but you still came back to the Valley. What do you appreciate most about being here in this area because you've spent your whole career here?
Well, I think that growing up in a small town, we had some good times, really fun to grow up in a small town, but you always at least I wanted to experience what else was out there. Thought maybe that the mountains were too sheltered at that time. But once you kind of get away and grow up a little bit and do whatever you're going to do, the Valley definitely seemed like something. Let's come back and settle, raise some children, and it's been fantastic. I wouldn't want anything different.
Yeah. So almost 20 years ago now, I traveled a lot for the manufacturing company I worked for. And Josh, same thing was true. There was nowhere I ever got to spend time working for them, doing the training I was doing and whatnot, that I didn't always get excited about coming back home to just everything that we probably take for granted here. The hospitality, the friends, the family, everything's just so open and welcoming. So that really brings me to the organization, and we'll talk about that more in depth. But before we do, you mentioned executive leadership, the role that you've got now, and some of the different things you've been a part of. But let's be honest, what's your clear purpose for taking on leadership responsibility? Because you've been pretty successful in a lot of things you've done, and you didn't have to say, hey, pick me. I'm willing to take on responsibility for leading a team.
Well, honestly, I really enjoy being a part of an organization and helping shape the mission and vision and the success of a company. It really excites me on a daily basis to be a part of a company that I'm allowed to be creative with and express opinions and work collaboratively with an organization. And Pioneer Bank has certainly been one of those. And it's very exciting. It's local, and watching a small bank in a community change and adapt to what's around them really gets me out of bed every day.
Yeah. And Hey, Cindy and I got to spend some time with the entire Pioneer Bank team about a month and a half ago, and it was just so cool to see how connected everybody was, and the values, ICE, right? You're going to need to remind me because I didn't get to snag one of those little things, but the values are so tied into that community feel of taking care of folks, and just a connection that's not there in a lot of other organizations, regardless of where they say they're located, right? Or where they say they're based. So
That's correct.
with that said, what do you where do you get the most fulfillment? What is that purpose that really drives you to take on that responsibility, to help drive that change, to help impact the folks and do those things that you do in the Pioneer Bank team?
I really like watching people be successful. It's been a part of my life forever. I'm always tend to be watching somebody else succeed makes me succeed. And so, I've whether it's through job or coaching, I've done a lot of coaching in my life. It's just really gets me excited to be a part of coaching, helping someone be a part of a team. And when they succeed, I succeed. And so that really has been probably the biggest thing in my career is just watching others grow and become who they are.
Yeah, I could go on a whole rabbit trail about that because I again, 20 years ago when I traveled, I kind of stumbled onto that. In my case, it wasn't because I was intentionally trying to help people grow. It was because I was trying not to fall on my face because I said yes to too many things. But looking back over the 20 years that followed, the time that followed, it's some of the most rewarding experience because I see so many of those folks that I got to work so closely with take on massive responsibility that I'm not sure they would ever have the chance to otherwise. So it's pretty cool. Now, to do that, Josh, you've had to develop yourself. So talk a little bit about what got you really involved in being intentional about your leadership development, any type of training that you looked into. What was your path like?
Well, my path kind of created itself. I didn't really plan that out. It's been a fantastic path for me. Getting involved directly in the banking industry has been great. I went through a lot of training initially, just through banks. They typically will have quite a bit of training. My biggest biggest thing I've done to help myself, honestly, is just getting involved at a young age in organizations, other organizations, being nonprofit civic clubs, getting involved with them and stepping into leadership roles. That's really taught me, and I've done that for a long time at the very beginning of my career, and that taught me what to look at, how to listen, to be a part of making decisions, and so on and so on. So I think that kind of really helped me in my field specifically. But I've been through a lot of training. I studied, did a master's program at Louisiana State University, specific to banking as well, in more of an executive leadership type role. It was an executive leadership course for 3 years that I did it like an MBA type program.
Wow. So that one's a new one to me. I've known you for close to 40 years and didn't know that. So that's pretty cool. So for the first time, you got to attend our Live to Lead Harrisonburg event last year and came away. The feedback you've given me has been pretty positive, and so much so that we've created a relationship, not just any relationship, but you and the Pioneer Bank team and Mark Reed, the CEO, you guys are our keynote partners for the upcoming Leadership Legacy experience that we're doing at Atlantic Union Bank Center on June 13th. Share a little bit about that initial experience at the event and what really opened the door to pursue the partnership that we've got. Well, Cindy and I are excited about it. I feel like most of the team at Pioneer are as well.
Absolutely. Wes, you and Cindy did a great job. I have certainly heard about your events, and attending last year was really eye opening for me. Just to see you all kind of fill the room with excitement. The speakers that you had involved really kind of put some very lasting words and impressions into me as I heard them speak. Getting to speak with other people there, networking was really a positive thing. Hearing hearing how much excitement was around the day really made me think that I was new to Pioneer last year, and knowing that I was with a smaller organization that's looking to grow and expand in our markets, really I made the connection with, wow, this would be a great opportunity for Dove Consulting to be a part of Pioneer Bank. I think any organization, not just a bank, has challenges and they grow, and it's, sometimes you fall away from where's your core. And to me, it struck really hard hearing you and Cindy talk about the value and the vision of your bank or organization, if you will, and that as we grow, we need to make sure that we don't distance ourselves from what our core values are.
Yeah, you may have intentionally baited me a little bit there, but I'm going to dig into something that you just said. We work hard we never call any of the relationships we have building towards our events. We don't call them sponsorships. We call them partnerships, because we want to lock arms. And if we do well in the event, we also want to drive business visibility and revenue to the organizations that we've partnered with. And we've been really, really careful about who we're willing to partner with, because in good faith, if we don't trust, if we don't have like values, if we don't have good relationships with the organization, we can't genuinely sing a good song about them for 6 months to a year in and around those events. So we so love the values that we've learned about Pioneer, and see in the way that they put so much intentionality into really serving the community. So it's been a lot of fun to start it, and we're looking forward to the process as we move forward over time. Now, I'm going to say this is a little bit off script. I don't think coercion is the right term, but I've asked and maybe convinced you to be part of one of the executive panels for the upcoming Leadership Legacy experience. That's really about much of what we're talking about here, your purpose for taking on that leadership responsibility. What gets you out of bed in the morning? And you've touched on it some. Is there anything else you'd like to share before I get back into the actual meat and the potatoes of what we're talking about?
I know I'm excited for the opportunity, Wes. I really, really am. I think that just being able to share your story makes me excited. I've been doing this for a long time, you and Cindy as well. And, I learn every day. I always try to make a challenge for myself to learn something new every day. If I don't do that, I feel like I don't grow. And, everybody's kind of growth spectrum is different, but I make sure I try to learn something or learn something new about somebody or something every day, and that just is really exciting for me. And I appreciate the opportunity, and I'll be up there learning just as much as everybody else as I hear other panel speakers.
Yeah, we're pretty thrilled about what's coming together with that, with the 15 to 20 different panelists, and Mark Cole, the CEO of Maxwell Leadership, who will be coming in from Georgia, and all the different pieces. Gosh, as we do this today, I'm thinking there's half a dozen other states that people will be coming into to Harrisonburg to attend this event. So it's going to be a pretty fun day. Now, back to what we're going to talk about here with Pioneer specifically. What would you like the community, anybody accessing this live, later on, whatever, to know about Pioneer that they probably don't know?
Well, Pioneer Bank, I guess, is a small bank. We're founded in Page County in Stanley, Virginia, which is where our headquarters is. I think that's very exciting. We are very much a part of the community. We've been here 115 years. That's a long time, and we're trying to continue the legacy of Pioneer Bank for many, many, many years ahead. We're excited about that. Banking is definitely a tough field these days. It's gotten more and more challenging as we see regulations and policies that we have to follow. We certainly have a lot of banks and credit unions in our area, and I think being a part of something very small and local is exciting. And I want to be a part of their financial picture. I want our communities to grow. I want to be a part of that success, and Pioneer to be a part of that success.
Yeah, it was fun talking with Mark. Just recently, Cindy and I got to spend a couple hours with him talking about some plans that we've got over the coming year and whatnot, working together. And I heard so much of that with him about the intentionality. Yep, we've got all these different things that go on a national scale and in the marketplace. but here's what we're focused on as a local institution. It's one thing to say, hey, we're local and our headquarters is local, but it's a whole different thing to serve your clients locally and call them by name and have those relationships. And that's the piece that we've just loved interacting with the Pioneer Bank team, because you and I have grown up around other local banks that are not that way, or at least not anymore. I remember at some point in time they were, but that ship may have sailed with a few. So pretty cool to see that. And I'm excited to see you help steer the ship in whatever way that looks like in the years to come, because it matters to everybody locally. Those relationships that you've talked about are super important. Now, on the heels of that, what type of examples can you give? Because I know Pioneer is very embedded into the community. What kind of examples can you give of where Pioneer looks to really serve or spearhead different community or industry measures that can really impact the people that you really do serve the most?
We very much encourage our employees to get involved locally, and that's on many levels. A lot of volunteer hours go into our communities from Pioneer Bank employees. We have a lot of employees who serve on civic organization boards, church boards, whatever, what have you, coach little leagues, coach baseball, other sports. We are proud of that, and that's something that we absolutely focus on, is having Pioneer employees out and about in our communities. And there are many different instances where Pioneer has certainly been involved and done some great things, but it's a lot. We spread a lot of hours over a lot of different organizations. So we're excited about that, and we will continue that as we move forward.
Well, I'll tell you one. You may not even know this. So when we were with you guys, we got there early to set up and make sure everything was going. But the gentleman with the Stanley Fire Department, I believe it's a volunteer fire department, that was doing a lot of the tech stuff as the Pioneer team was coming in, and Cindy and I were setting up. He specifically told me and Cindy as we were talking how much Mark and the team at Pioneer have done to really help make that space a reality, and how much went into it. And he said without Pioneer doing those things for them, they wouldn't be able to have that space that they could serve the community with. So it's the fire department right next door to the headquarters, but my goodness, it's serving that entire community. And the reality is, without you guys doing those things, there's a lot of resources that whole community of Stanley specifically, but anybody else around just wouldn't have access to. So that was pretty cool to see and hear from them. So you've been there. I don't remember how long. It's not quite been a year yet, but you've been with Pioneer for a while now. You're getting your feet under you. I hear a lot of the things that you're enjoying about the process. What specifically, with the purpose that Pioneer Bank really works to serve, aligns well with you and your own personal values and purpose?
Being able to shape the success and just be a part of a leadership team to help get to the next level, if you will. And that excites me every day to be a part of that. I'm very fortunate to have colleagues that support the same mission and vision as I do, and allow me to be a part of that. I'm 9 months in, and I feel very connected to my team and very connected to the bank as a whole. And I think that we're all on the same level as moving the bank forward. We have the same goals and the missions and the visions and the values, and it's really neat to be a part of that and be accepted into that, and given the opportunity to help push the bank and just really take it to the next level.
Yeah, that was something that really resonated with us, how much folks, when we were there, we've been in organizations where people will be in the same room because they have to, but they don't often seem like they want to. And it was just so neat to see, gosh, I think close to 70 employees from the whole organization were in the room that day. And it was crappy weather when we were there. I mean, it was 20 degrees below freezing, and it was just crazy, but everybody was there through the yuck weather, and they seem to be genuinely thrilled to have that time together to sharpen the saw, if you will. It was pretty neat to see how those values were really lining up across the organization. So, Josh, one of the things that I always like to hear is, for those of us, we're getting a little bit older. I've got more gray hair than you. That means that I probably didn't take as good a care of myself as I should have. But anyway, What advice would you give to somebody that's a young professional and they're looking to advance their career, regardless of industry, but they want to take on more and more leadership responsibility?
Look for opportunities. They're out there. And as daunting as some may seem, I would definitely not overlook some of the opportunities to get involved. I will say very, very early on in my career, as I mentioned earlier, getting involved with some of the organizations for me really excelled my career very early on. Sure, at one time, did I have too much on my plate? Absolutely. But do I look back and value what I had? Yes. I would definitely say again, everybody's growth spectrum is a little bit different and what they can tolerate. But if you pass some things up in life, you'll probably regret some of them. But I would absolutely say getting involved in your community, meeting the people out there, meeting some connections, getting involved with organizations like yourself to just expand who they are. Go ahead and take that leap is what I would tell them, is that because that's what I'm looking for. When I'm looking for somebody out there as well, that I'm looking for those who are out there trying and putting in the work and the effort and getting really to know honestly who is our community. That they need to know the key people in our community. They need to know who we are, where we are, and I think getting involved in as much as you can will really help someone's career.
Yeah, I often hear folks say, "Gosh, I'm just so busy," and the reality is, you'll never be less busy. It kind of goes back to the old story about, "Hey, when's the best time to plant a tree?" Well, 20 years ago, or today. So if we didn't get to plant the tree 20 years ago, plant the tree now, and that's really what I get to share with young people all the time is start now. You're never going to be ready. Start. You'll get better along the way. So yeah, I love hearing you share that. Josh, what would you like to share that we've not talked about? What would you like to kind of wrap up with? What are the key pieces about you, or what the impact you would like to see most through Pioneer Bank over the coming 5-10 years?
I'm just excited to be a part of your organization, Wes, and Pioneers. Just creating a partnership, I think, is really exciting for me. I'm excited to watch our community continue to grow. Communities around us that we serve. It's exciting to see, it's easy, the growth that we see when you see buildings come up and, projects that you've been involved with financing or helping someone. It's really exciting for me. And Pioneer Bank wants to be a part of that. And we want to help our communities grow any way we can. And, we're here to listen for anything. And we're not catering to one specific category or the other. We're here for everybody. And I just want to make sure people understand we're local. We're here. We want to help you. We're willing to listen and be a part of your organization as well. So we're excited to bring Pioneer Bank name out and get more recognized and just really expand our brand.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I mean, you and I talked about this when you took the market president role with Pioneer, that Cindy and I have, I'm going to say secondhand, not firsthand, but Debbie Fortner, who works in the same office with you currently, she was instrumental in helping Cindy's older brother, who's legally blind, and his son purchase their first house not long ago. And it's just so cool, the things that you do. I think I've shared this message with you. A mutual friend of ours commented to me a few years back, and he said it was before you were with Pioneer, but it speaks to the value and the intentionality you put in relationships. He said, "Hey, I wouldn't have my business today if Josh Hale didn't help me and do the things he did to help me get the loan for my business." And he's got a wonderfully successful business. I mean, he's the one of the best I've ever seen, maybe the best I've ever seen at what he does in his field. And he attributed having that opportunity to what you do and the relationship that you've built and kind of took that chance and invested in him. So it's really cool to see how you've built that reputation with how you serve the community, how do you take care of the people around you so they can expand and impact other people. Well done, sir, on that.
I appreciate that.
So, Josh, thanks for being with me on this. Look forward to the event. Having you, I really, truly appreciate you being willing to be on one of the panels. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'll wrap this up by sharing, like I always do. We really appreciate you joining us here, Josh specifically, but anybody listening whenever this is. Now, if you'd like to go deeper into anything that you've heard me and Josh talk about, or you need continuing education credits of some kind, send us an email at admin@dove-development.net, and I'll hook you up with an all-access 45-day trial to our complete Leading at the Next Level program. It's more than 150, 160 lessons that have SHRM and HRCI continuing education credits and a whole lot more stuff. There's some live lessons and so on. But we look forward to being able to serve you, to really invest in the people around you, continue that ongoing growth journey, and make sure that you can capture the profitability that comes from serving people better. With that said, we'll call it done. Appreciate you all. Look forward to seeing you soon, and God bless.